Buffalo brother George, how are you today?
I'm good, John. How are you?
I'm good.
Here we are again, ready for the playoffs.
We are ready for the playoffs.
Buffalo Bills are in it again.
Division champions. Congratulations, Bill.
Congratulations
That's
to
right.
Buffalo Bills.
Congratulations, Buffalo Bill fans. You stuck in there another year.
Now, let me ask you this question.
Question away.
They're the number 2 seed.
There.
Do you think they deserve to be?
No, someone had to be.
Somebody had to be.
Someone had to be. Yeah.
And
There's a lot of teams that didn't have that were not consistent this year. There's a lot of them.
yeah,
And of those teams, they happen to finish above the other ones.
that's a good answer. They were the best of the rest.
Yeah. Baltimore looks good.
Yeah, Baltimore looks good. They were the best of the rest. We watched the Miami Dolphins. Buffalo beat them in Miami, which is a great thing. But at the same point, Miami went in with injuries. They had more injuries throughout the game. The Bills in the fourth quarter, they were down 14-7 going into the fourth quarter, and they took over the game. The Bills figured out finally how to get enough pressure onto Tua to make him inaccurate. The Dolphins couldn't do a thing, especially in that fourth quarter. And the Bills figure out how to score. And they won the game 21-14.
Detroit.
I know I had predicted 28-14. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe that is what I predicted. 28-14. And they did 21-14. No, 24-14. That was my score. 24-14. They did 21-14. So good. But I really think, to be honest with you, I think the Bills got a little lucky in that game. And they caught the Dolphins at the right time or the wrong time for the Dolphins with the injuries that
the injuries. Okay.
Mhm.
I was wondering where the luck came in. Okay.
They just caught them at the right time.
Waddle being out.
Waddle being out.
Was not good. Yeah.
Their best pass rushers, two of them being out.
Right.
Jerome Baker getting injured late in the game. All kinds of things went the Bills' way and didn't go Miami's way.
Yeah, I don't put a lot of stock in the whole injury thing.
Everybody gets injuries.
And I guess when you have an injury, like the Bills have had a number of defensive injuries.
Mhm.
They've had some time. They picked up a couple of players, and they've had some time to redo how they want to do stuff.
Yeah, they reset their
You know?
defense based on the players that they have, but it took them time to get that done. Miami just got caught with too many injuries at the wrong time, without time to try and figure out what to do with the Bills coming in and the number 2 seed on the line.
The other thing way to look at it is, look, if you lose a guy for the season or for that's your team now.
Yeah, that's your
So bad timing in that they're about to face the Bills, but they were going to play somebody.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, they were going to play somebody. And from this point on, this is their team.
right.
So that's just kind of that. I don't have
You
I don't have a lot of sympathy for that any more than any team had sympathy for the Bills when Milano went down,
Yeah.
or when Daquan Jones went down, or when Trey White went down,
And we struggled at that time.
or before Miller came back.
Yeah. Von Miller came back, but he's been ineffective. Trey White is out. Milano's out.
In the end, Buffalo beat Miami twice.
Yeah, in the end,
They squished the fish. They are fully squished.
Buffalo is figuring out how to win games. We had a stretch there where Buffalo was losing games by 3 points, 2 points. They at that time they couldn't figure out how to win.
Well, okay. They've been inconsistent.
They've been inconsistent,
particularly on the offense, but
Mhm.
to some degree, both sides. And their special teams have been inconsistent.
Hey, and don't forget, in this game, Josh Allen, he was their worst enemy until he was their savior.
Yeah.
It's fortunate for us, or for Buffalo, that Miami couldn't figure out how to take advantage of all of Josh Allen's mistakes. There's ways you could say maybe they should have been up 21-0 the way Buffalo was making mistakes, but they couldn't consistently move the ball. The Bills defense hung in there, and Josh Allen kept trying to give the ball back, fumbles or interceptions or whatever the heck he was doing. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, he became Superman.
But that has been their offense.
Yep.
I mean, he is the offense. We've talked this before. Um, if he, well, in this case, it was mistakes, right? It was specifically mistakes.
Right.
But if he doesn't play good, they don't play good. And if he doesn't play well or great, they can't be good teams.
You know,
They need him.
he definitely was back to cabbage head. He was flinging balls down the field like they were frisbees. He was just doing things. He's throwing a ball, not knowing where his receiver was going, but just in anticipation. I think who knows what was on his mind. Wasn't a ball that he should have even thrown. The one where Gabe Davis moved away towards the post and Josh threw it right to the defender in the end zone. I don't know what he's thinking, and I don't know what he's going to do in the next game. You just don't know. But when he's good, he's good. He's really good.
Well, I would say that this is not the first time this season. It's not even the first time in this half of the season that
or his career.
That him and Davis have been on wrong page.
That's true. Absolutely right.
The Philadelphia game, of course, leaps to mind, and then you saw it again here. Why he thinks he's going to do one thing. Look, you had said it before. Gabe Davis can't get off this team fast enough. You know, I don't know. He's a nice guy. He used to play in college. He played for University of Central Florida. He came out of here. I got to see him play quite a bit. He's a good player.
I think
he seems like a good kid.
Yeah, it'd be a great person for the Jets or the Giants to have. He can go to the Giants and reconnect with Dable and do his thing over there.
A team that puts a lot of emphasis on running the ball might be very interested in him. His blocking skills are, are honed well.
But this conversation that we're having here now maybe is going to be better a little later after the season as we recap what's happened, what is going to happen, what we think will happen in the next
offseason.
In the offseason, yeah. At this point, Buffalo became the number 2 seed. They're and they have a home game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I would like to get your opinion on what you think about the Pittsburgh Steelers, who backed into the playoffs. Good for them.
Well, they didn't back in; they won.
Mm-hmm.
So, we were talking about the best of the rest. If you take the division winners, well, actually, you take Kansas City and Buffalo, and then who the heck won the other division? Was it Houston?
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland, and then after Cleveland, there looks to be a gap. And the only reason why I don't put Miami with that, because I normally would, I don't know how they're going to deal with the injuries, Miami, but Pittsburgh seems to be the best of the rest.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they are a solid team. I think they have. It really sounds like TJ Watt isn't going to play,
right?
And that's a big difference for them and for what the Bills will have to face. Offensively, they are exactly the kind of team that the Bills struggle against.
Absolutely right.
So we'll see. Defensively, we've been praising this defense for a bit now, so we'll see if they can come up with something.
Well, it being a Bills fan, if I have to face the Pittsburgh Steelers in a playoff game, I sure as heck rather do it in Buffalo than in Pittsburgh. I think the Bills in Pittsburgh would have definitely been a challenge. Right now, the Bills are showing as a 10-point favorite over the Steelers. The Bills have had difficulty when they're double-digit favorites. They go into the game and they seem to play down to their competition, and they struggle. And now we're in Buffalo. We're talking about maybe some snowy weather, but a lot of wind, going to make it hard to throw. And you're going to be talking about a Pittsburgh Steeler that's going to want to punch him in the mouth, run the ball at him, which Buffalo has been susceptible to. Getting run on. And okay, so if Buffalo Bills are going to be playing a team, the Steelers, that's a hard-hitting, physical football team. but they're without their best sack guy. Watt had 19 sacks this year, John. 19. That's incredible.
Yeah, we don't have anybody that good.
They had 47 sacks as a team. Watt had 19 of them. You take his out, they're down to 28 sacks as a team. So that's really a tough guy to replace for Pittsburgh, because when he's not getting the sacks, he sure must have been getting a lot of pressure on. And I still anticipate Pittsburgh getting pressure on Josh Allen. We see every team getting pressure on Josh Allen. And are they going to be able to stop Cook from running? I'll tell you this, when it comes to the run game on Buffalo, I didn't see anything out of Leonard Fournette. You know, when he get the ball and he goes to run up the middle, he goes like half a yard and he stops. He has no legs on him. He can't push forward. He's not strong. And I miss Davis Murray. I hope they bring him back to spell Cook. And I'm also glad that Ty Johnson's there. I don't think we're going to see Leonard Fournette that much. I think we're going to see Ty Johnson. I think we're going to see Latavius Murray, and I know we're going to see Cook. And I think we're going to see a lot of short passes from Buffalo to their tight ends and to their running backs. And that seems to be what their strength is right now. And when they want to move it down the field, they're finding Shakir. That's different than what Pittsburgh is used to seeing out of the Bills. Going for the long balls, going for digs. They're now going to have to stop Buffalo's running game and short passing attack.
Okay, well, where do I start?
Well,
Well, you mentioned that when the Bills are double-digit favorites, they don't play well.
right.
And I have a slightly different take on that.
All right.
Vegas has overestimated the Bills all season.
Mm-hmm.
When they were giving where they were making them a double-digit favorite, I didn't think they were a double-digit favorite.
Right.
People who don't watch the Bills and didn't see the Bills struggle and just look at stat lines and just think about the reputation of the Bills. They were the ones who were betting the team down so much, right? Because Vegas just wants to split the betting money. So I don't think they play down. I think this is who they are.
Mm-hmm.
They're not playing down. When they went out against Denver and lost, I think that was the best they could do. Denver didn't overwhelm them. Drive after drive after drive. They couldn't stop. We couldn't go get anywhere. We couldn't score. And they had a hard time stopping Russell Wilson with his little passes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's who they are. That's just who they are. Which is why they're the best of the rest and not up there with Baltimore.
Right.
As far as Pittsburgh having a difficult time not knowing what Buffalo's going to do, this is who they haven't been passing deep all season. I think Diggs' average catch, yards per catch, and his average in air yards before attempts are way down. They haven't been a deep passing team really since Ken Dorsey took over. And if Pittsburgh looks at the last 4 games, which is basically what teams look at when they study, they're going to see exactly what the Bills have been doing and how they. If they just look at the last 5 games where they had the last 5 wins, they'll see every play the Bills are going to run this weekend. So it's not going to surprise them. They're not going to be like, oh my God, why would they suddenly run the ball on first down? Why would they suddenly be throwing to Shakir or to Kincaid? They're going to see.
They're going to see that's what they do.
I have no faith that Joe Brady is going to go out there and scheme something up different. Not only do I have no faith, after 4 games or 5 games, I would say he has not done that.
Yeah.
So adding some twist before the snap with some motion and stuff is great. And if it helps, it helps. But in the end, they've had one game where they ran the ball up and down the field on Dallas, and every other game, Allen has to make plays for him to win. While he's struggling, they can't move the ball, and when he starts making some plays, they can. Whether those are with his legs or with his arm.
Well, let's
So
talk about the.
I don't think Pittsburgh is going to have a difficult time understanding that.
All right, I understand that's a good take on the Pittsburgh defense, but the Pittsburgh offense. How do you think they're going to attack Buffalo? And do you think with a backup quarterback or third stringer quarterback? I know Mason Rudolph has history in the NFL, but how do you think that they're going to be able to attack the Bills defense? And
Exactly,
will they be successful?
exactly the way they've won 10 games this year. Every
Mhm.
game they've won, they've had a good game on the ground,
Mhm.
no matter who has been their quarterback. So I think that is exactly what they're going to try to do. Um, and Mason Rudolph will the passes that he will be asked to complete are side to side ones and 10 yards downfield ones. And but that's their offense. That's if the Bills can't stop Najee Harris, they're gonna have a very hard time.
You think there's any reason they won't be able to stop Najee Harris?
Well, that's a good question. I would sure like it if Milano was back.
Mhm.
Um, at this moment, as we sit here, we don't know if Dotson's going to play. If he doesn't play, they've got to use their third string guy, Balen Spector, or they'd have to use the guy they got in the second round last year, Dorian Williams, who they've stuffed under a rock for some reason. They don't like the guy. I mean, I'm sure they like his personality, but they refuse to put him out there.
Mhm.
Um, we don't know if who's the cornerback that they brought in.
Bill Douglas.
Don't know if he's going to play. And I just said that Mason Rudolph doesn't throw particularly dynamic passes or downfield. But if he's not in there, you know, if they put him on the Pittsburgh's best receiver, then other players can be even more focused on stopping around. So in the past, McDermott has been able to take away the opposing team's best thing.
Mhm.
If a team is one dimensional, they can really tee off on that one dimension and shut it down. So I'm hoping that that's what we see. Um, but my fear is that we're going to see Najee Harris run over the Bills defense the same way Henry did a couple years ago.
Well, that's a good point that you have there. And before we
No,
address the injury parts of it,
they're all good points.
yeah,
But go ahead.
but before we address the injury points of it, because we don't know.
Yeah,
This
we
is
don't know.
being the Bills, and I agree with you. I think that Pittsburgh is going to try and drive the ball, keep pound out the run game, maybe throw some passes if it's opened up a play action or whatever. But I think that's going to be mostly on the ground. And do you think Buffalo is going to have one linebacker and an additional safety in there, like we've seen on a lot of these plays? Or do you think that they will bring in two linebackers?
I don't know. That we don't know. Will they try to play three safety? Got no idea.
I mean, would they try to play three safeties if they're trying to attack Pittsburgh's run game? Or will they bring in Dorian Williams because he's a linebacker?
When they went up against Henry, there were times they used three linebackers. They
Mhm.
took Terron Johnson out of the game. Or if they needed him, they pulled the safety out to bring in a third linebacker. So all of that's available to them. They've certainly done those things before. I don't know what they'll need to do.
Yeah, I think when I think that Tyron Johnson is an outstanding ball player, an integral part of this team right now. And not only can he cover, he can shoot in on a run blitz. I've seen him tackle guys in the backfield, not just a quarterback. And we might see him blitzing on these run games. And I'm dropping pieces of my
Sure,
jigsaw puzzle.
sure.
So I think they're going to try and attack Pittsburgh's run game. And if Pittsburgh is successful, it might come from the passing game.
Okay.
And I think that's going to keep it to a low score. Because I don't think Pittsburgh is going to be able to mount 3 or more drives by just pounding out the ground game against the Bills.
Well, I hope you're right. I certainly hope you're right. I don't know that that's accurate.
Well, we're going to find
Yeah,
out.
that's accurate.
That's the way I see it.
I'm cautious. I'm not even cautious, I'm just cautious about that because we've seen this team give up running yards.
Mhm.
We saw whatever, AJ.
AJ.
Didn't he get 100 yards in the first half?
Yeah.
So
He got, excuse me, like 109 yards in the first half and maybe 17 in the second half.
so that's a team that has a passing offense and a passing threat.
Mhm.
So the Bills defense had to deal with that and maybe had some issues with closing the running game.
Right.
Okay, I get that. So hopefully, maybe because it's Mason Rudolph and because of the bad weather, they'll really be able to just only have to focus on the running attack. What game was it when we saw the Bills lost the game and then they came out? The defensive coordinator Leslie whatever
Frazier?
came out and said, "Well, we thought they were going to pass, and then
Yeah.
when they ran on us,
We
we couldn't stop it."
That was a game of New England where they ran it almost every play except 3 plays. That was that bad weather game in Buffalo.
I don't think that was the game.
Oh,
I think it was a different game, but that's another. So we're going to have I don't know if it's going to be as bad as that, but we're going to have another tough weather game with some cold weather. I don't know if there's going to be snow on the ground. This team has not performed well in those conditions recently, and I mean the last 2 years, and maybe even before longer than that. So they lost that tough game with the Patriots. So the last time they played Cleveland in bad weather, they lost. So this is a team that the Steelers are coming here, and if you had to pick a team whose offense is designed for cold weather, you would say it would be Pittsburgh much more than Buffalo. So they have a natural advantage in this weather.
well, there's a lot I agree with, but I also would challenge you that in bad weather, you not only have 3 running backs that can move the ball for you.
Talking about Pittsburgh?
Buffalo. Not only do they have 3 running backs, Cook, Ty Johnson, and Latavius Murray, but they got Josh Allen.
Okay, well,
he's going to run the ball.
Let me stop you right there. They don't have 3 running backs. The whole reason they used Fournette was because they were disenchanted with how Murray's been playing.
Yeah, I understand that. I think they found out that.
So why would he play better this week than he's played the last?
Because I think they found out this week that Fournette is not better than Murray. He's worse.
But why would Murray play better? Just because they found out Fournette is worse doesn't mean that Murray is going to play better than he's played the last couple of weeks.
Well, he may not play better than Fournette does, but he's going to play. So that's my opinion.
So will you change what you just said to they have 3 running backs that are going to do well to now they only have 2? Because we have just established that Murray hasn't been playing well the last couple of weeks.
All right. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
And they still got Josh Allen.
Not done yet.
Oh.
They got Cook.
Yeah.
And they have Ty Johnson.
Yes.
Okay. Ty Johnson has been upgraded in his concussion protocol. He has not been removed from the concussion protocol. He's doing better. But we don't know if he's going to play. They could be sitting there with 1 running back. Would you change your opinion now of the running back room?
Well, you're asking me what I'm going to say after we find out more about injuries. Yeah, so I'll find if I may change after we find out more about injuries.
All right, so
what we're doing this before the injury.
What were you going to say about John? I believe
the point I was trying to make is Pittsburgh has Najee Harris, but Buffalo has more guys that can run.
Except for this week, where they have only 1.
Well, we don't know.
I'm sorry, where they may have only 1.
No, they still have Josh Allen. That's 2.
Okay, so
that's at least 2.
How many yards do you think Allen's going to get here?
50, 60.
Okay, he might get 100.
He might get 100. I don't think he'll get 100, but you never know.
Listen, if there is anybody watching this video that happens to live in the Buffalo area, please whether you write a little note or you go to the stadium and you spell it out and on the frosted glass, please make sure that the trainer puts the right cleats on.
Yeah.
Because we all saw Buffalo play Cincinnati. Cincinnati's running all over the place, and our guys are running gingerly because they're slipping and sliding all over the place.
And then the guy with
the rain glove,
with the gloves, Kincaid, he couldn't catch the ball. He's got the wrong gloves on. The wrong gloves on.
Could somebody let the trainer know it's going to be bad weather, and maybe you should make sure they got the right cleats and the right gloves?
So
playoffs,
let's say that they have a better equipments manager on Pittsburgh.
I can do it.
Not Buffalo. But my point was, in many offensive categories, the Bills have multiple guys. They've got depth that Pittsburgh doesn't have. They've got Najee Harris, but the Bills have more. The Pittsburgh has a tight end. The Bills have two, maybe three that really can catch the ball. You don't think we got three that can catch the ball?
Look, we talked before the season.
You don't think the Bills have more depth than Pittsburgh?
We talked before the season started. Okay. In many cases, when they were putting together this roster, they tried to improve the floor.
Yeah.
The least common denominator. But unless those guys are playing significant minutes, it's the guys on top who make a difference. So Morris is highly unlikely to make a difference in this game.
He might spring a block.
Like, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Of all the defensive ends that the Bills have, which one is probably I guess I'll say the worst or the lowest in rank?
Sure. Von Miller.
Okay. Jonathan Kingsley Johnson, or Von Miller. Not okay.
The one's playing. Von Miller.
Okay. So if you take Von Miller off the team and bring in another guy who you've never heard of, or would you rather bring TJ Watt onto the team? Which one's going to make a bigger difference in the game?
TJ Watt.
Of course. So now, and my point is, the guy who gets the playing time, the 60% of the snaps, the 80% of the snaps, he is the one who's going to make a difference. So I'm not giving the Bills a lot of credit for having a better backup offensive tackle that we're hopefully never going to see.
You're not catching my drift here. I'm the pitcher in baseball, and you're not catching. But listen,
I'm an alpha. I don't catch.
You're not the receiver.
I'm not the receiver.
All right. Buffalo, you look at the last 4 wins.
Yeah. Oh, even the 5. Yeah. Let's go. Last 4.
The last 4.
4.
Each one of those games, the MVP of the game was somebody different. The Bills have multiple people now that are making big plays at the right times. 1 week it was Rasul Douglas with picks and batted balls and pick six.
We're hoping he plays.
And another game it was Ed Oliver. Another game it was Josh Allen. Another game it was special teams. You're seeing this team finding ways to win and making their breaks. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, and yes, I give them credit. They won 10 games and they found their way into the playoffs. But the last 4 games for them, it's been Mason Rudolph. And if the Bills shut down Mason Rudolph, who do you think is going to offset it to beat up the Bills? The Pittsburgh special teams, the running game, the cornerback. You're seeing that happen on the Bills side, but not on Pittsburgh side.
I think you may have misspoken.
Okay.
Well, I think the guy's been Najee Harris, not Mason Rudolph.
All right.
So if the Bills can shut him down, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
This defense, when they've gone up against, and I gotta bring up Tennessee, and they've done a decent job trying to contain, because you can't stop King Henry.
Yeah. That good game for the Bills would be if they kept him to 80 yards.
Tannehill, they couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop him. And he's not good, but they couldn't stop him. So that's my fear. is that Rudolph will suddenly have a now he doesn't have an AJ Brown to throw it to, right? And I
We're
don't
not saying they have bad receivers in Pittsburgh.
no, but AJ Brown is a special guy. He's still doing well for
Absolutely.
Is it the Eagles? Yeah, he's still doing well. So,
Very well.
look, if I ask you, what is Pittsburgh's offensive identity? What would you say?
I would say right now it's Mason Rudolph, but overall I would say it's a running game. Running game
And what's the
and pressure on quarterbacks.
okay? So and defensively, it's pressure on quarterbacks.
Yeah.
What's the Bills' offensive identity?
Well, so far, right since
Yeah,
Brady,
we don't know.
since Brady, maybe the running game.
Maybe the running game. It's the Josh Allen experience.
You can say it's the take what you get.
I would something like that. It's the Josh Allen experience. He goes out there and is putting balls in buckets. Pittsburgh don't have a chance.
But
you
yet
don't know what you're going to
we've
get.
seen Josh Allen still not throw the pass and get your first down because he's waiting for something else
Okay.
and not be successful.
I ain't done asking you.
Huh.
What is the Bills' defensive identity?
It's been shutting down in the secondary.
The secondary. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Stopping dynamic passing attacks. Yeah. No, that's not a bad, and more so from the defensive backfield than from necessarily the front line. Now, I love college basketball. We talked to it, but like sometimes a team has difficulty because the way a team is built, you just have difficulty matching against them. They may be a 500 team, but boy, they got a whatever type player that you have difficulty against, and you struggle every time you play it. Pittsburgh is kind of built like their strength on defense is to put pressure on the quarterback. That sounds like interception fest. And defensively, can the Bills' defensive backfield, which is their strength, be the run stoppers we're going to need them to be in this game without somehow giving up yards to Mason Rudolph?
All right.
That's unfortunately the strength. So the strength of Pittsburgh kind of doesn't meet our strength. If they were a passing attack team, we'd be like, well, let them go up against our secondary. We played great. And sometimes we get pressure. So even better. But that's not what they are.
Right.
And the weather, if it affects both teams, it'll affect Pittsburgh probably least in that they're not looking to throw deep. And when they have to face Allen, if you don't have to defend deep, that means they could push up and maybe cut out some of those
I would encourage
passes.
I would encourage you to look up Mason Rudolph's stats.
Okay, because he's so good.
Because you're going to find that he's throwing for 300 yards a game. So to say that Pittsburgh is just running the ball is a fallacy. Mason Rudolph is saving it by throwing the passes. And I think you're going to see not Mason Rudolph save them.
Okay.
I think you're going to see the Buffalo Bills get in a position where hear me out here, it's going to be a close game in the beginning. It's going to be back and forth.
It's 0.
Start out at 0. It's going to be back and forth.
Yeah.
They're going to stop each other. Josh Allen's going to do some dumb stuff. Pittsburgh's not going to be able to make the pass.
Like the way you just tried. He's going to do some dumb stuff.
We know he is.
Okay.
And it's going to be a slugfest. It'll be a low-scoring first half. And then finally, Buffalo will take the lead. And then they'll extend the lead. And then Pittsburgh is going to have to get into a throwing game to catch Buffalo. And that's when you're going to see that secondary shut them down.
That sounds great. And I hope that happens.
And I think that's what's going to happen in this game. And I think Buffalo is going to end up winning the game. And when you look at the game overall, you're going to see Buffalo shut down Pittsburgh's passing.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Does that mean they're going to let them run? I mean, like, if they're not going to focus on stopping the run, does that mean that Najee Harris is going to run up and down the field?
Look, Najee Harris can get 3 first downs, 10 yards, 10 yards, 10 yards. There's 30 yards already in the first quarter. And then they could end up punting in the next series. So I think Najee is going to get some yards, but I don't think they're going to add up to scoring drives.
Well, you mentioned that Rudolph has been passing well,
Mhm.
300-yard games.
Yes.
So you obviously know more about Pittsburgh than I do. Let me ask you this. Does Pittsburgh utilize the pass to set up the run?
No.
No, they don't.
No.
You think that Mason Rudolph's passing attack and passing ability has been helped by the fact that Najee Harris has been running up and down the field and everyone?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. The Bills better be able to stop the run.
I think they will hold it in check. Pittsburgh, they'll
Okay.
hold it in check. They will hold Pittsburgh to maybe a score or so, 7, 10 points. But they're not gonna. Pittsburgh's not gonna run up the score 28-4 or 28-7 against Buffalo. That's not what you're gonna see.
Okay.
You're gonna see a close game, whether it's Buffalo ahead or behind, like we just saw at this Miami game, until the Bills get it moving, and it seems to happen later in the second half.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to see again. And then Pittsburgh's going to be forced to throw.
So Buffalo got this things moving in the second half, which is true. Defensively, they really look better. How many points they score in the second half?
14, Buffalo.
Okay. And if they didn't, that was half of that was special teams.
Yes.
What if this game's Pittsburgh has a special team score?
Yeah. What if it's
No,
not
no,
going
what
to
I'm
happen?
saying is, but they're a team that's one of their strengths. That's one of they build their team around their partially around their special teams.
All right. Well, listen, do me a favor.
I'm just saying, if
Well-
someone's going to have a special team score a touchdown, it is more likely going to be Pittsburgh.
You remember who you said was going to win and who's going to lose last week?
Yeah, I picked Miami.
And what happened?
Miami lost.
So who are you picking this week?
Buffalo.
Ah. And what do you think the score is going to be?
17-14.
Close game, low scoring game.
I think
I agree with it'll be a low scoring game.
I think Bass might be the hero or the goat. He's got a real chance here.
Okay.
You know, if we could get out to a lead, and it gets late enough in the game where they actually do abandon the run, the Bills could really tee off.
I heard somebody on the YouTube calling him
But there's a lot of ifs.
Bass your ass sea bass. Or bass my ass sea.
I haven't heard that. Well, listen, if you've heard that bass your ass sea bass, please mention it in the comments because I haven't heard that.
But I think Buffalo is going to get the win.
Yeah, like I'm sitting here going, I don't know that the Bills would win this game if it was in Pittsburgh. That's how close I think the teams are. But Allen can be a difference maker. You just never know. My only real concern is I don't like that because of the bad weather. Some of his ability to make a difference is restricted.
Yeah.
Hindered.
I am totally with you that this is the wrong kind of team for Buffalo to face. It's just fortunate that if we got to face them, we're facing them at home. And I think, like Miami, I think we're catching them at a time when some of their key playmakers are not going to be available for them. And I think that's going to turn the tide for Buffalo.
What was the stat we heard about Pittsburgh winning or losing when TJ Watt does not play?
Oh, I don't
like
know.
they're 1 in 10
It's
when
something
he
crazy.
doesn't play.
Yeah.
Now he missed some games. I think it was last year. He had a contract issue and it caused him to come in late. But I don't think he's. And I know he's had a couple injuries, but he hasn't missed many games.
19 sacks by one guy.
Him being there doesn't mean they win, but it really, really affects their ability to win when he's not there.
All right. Well, that's what I'm saying, you guys. And John, I think we're getting to a point we got to sign off.
All right, sounds good.
We'll see you next week. We'll talk about this, and hopefully we're going to be talking
celebrating
about
the Bills' victory.
right.
Oh, hey,
the divisional.
last week after we won, we were going to have wine, but George drank it before the game.
I did
drink
it all. I did drink it all.
But we found a drink called the Coquito. Now, if you've never heard of this, don't walk. Run to a liquor store, find something called Coquito.
Of course, you got to be at least 21 years old.
Yeah. It's kind of milky white and it's
It's a
toasted almond, toasted coconut.
and rum.
Oh, this stuff.
And we found a blend, by the bottle is called Shipwreck.
Shipwreck.
And a couple of those during the game, you'll be shipwrecked.
You'll be shipwrecked.
All right,
So,
everybody, enjoy.
Everybody enjoy the game.
See you next week.
Go Bills.